Hey, it's Rizzo again. Just rambling, going through my multitude of thoughts that cross through my head. One of which is why, whenever you're recording on this DU recorder, which I hate so much, people always tend to come into the room or you get a text message always while you're recording on that thing. But it's my own fault because there's like a pause button right there. I could easily just pause it and that would solve everything. But whatever. I was thinking about a few things a couple of days ago, and I was going back and forth on whether it's worthy of doing a video. It's debatable, it might not be, but I'll just throw out a whole bunch of things all at once on this one, very informally. One of which is the picture that you see on the screen right here. I was listening to Tyra's show, and he was saying that 1146 Bevel had a lien on it and hadn't been renovated since he put the lien on it. That is totally untrue, as usual. I mean, no surprise there, right? Tyra said something that wasn't true. Surprise! Anyway, yeah, as you can see here, it was renovated in 2019 and it's been sold several times since 2014. I think I have another snapshot of that somewhere in here. These pictures are all jumbled up though. Yeah, so he was saying that the place had a lien on it and it hadn't been renovated since he put the lien on it. He moved out of there, or rather was evicted out of there for non-payment of taxes because he, well, it's a very complicated thing. The house belonged to Donna. And Tyra came up with this crazy idea to avoid taxes by having Donna sell the house to him. Now, they did this sale just between the two of them. I can't say how much he paid for it exactly. I do know he paid in silver, and it was probably something like $2 in silver coins between him and Donna. The state did not recognize the sale because it wasn't done legitimately. All right, so she sells this to him at his urging, and then all of the tax bills that were coming in to Donna. And because these bills were addressed to Donna, not according to him, the owner of the property, that they didn't need to be paid. So finally, when he got the eviction notice or the notice that the house was going to go up for tax sale, he attempted to pay off the taxes using a closed checking account. Basically, they had a checking account. It was closed. It was no longer a valid checking account. They still had the checkbook from that account, but they weren't authorized to write any checks from it. He writes a check using that checking account, sends it in for full payment of back taxes. They send him a receipt saying that they accepted or they received his check, and to him, he took that receipt as paid. It's like if I owed you $100 and I mailed you a fake $100 bill in the mail, and you opened it up and said, "Oh yeah, I got your $100 bill. Thanks," not knowing that it was a fake bill. And then later on, I go to deposit it in the bank, and the bank says, "Hey, that's a fake $100 bill." Well, you didn't really pay your bill. You knowingly sent me a fake $100 bill. This is what Tyra did. Anyway, I'm getting off the track here. That's the way my mind works, though. It rambles all over the place. It's a mess. It's a mess in there. Stay out. It's like disaster. It was disaster zone. All right. So anyway, that's what he did. And the place has been renovated. It's been sold numerous times. Oh, and also I contacted the assessor's office. They said that there were several liens on the property, mechanics liens. They wouldn't tell me who these liens were placed on by. I can only assume a mechanics lien was probably put on by Tyra. Probably. Very good chance. They did give me someplace else that I could check to see who placed the lien. I may do that at some point. That's going to cost money though, and frankly, I don't want to spend the money on that. But yeah, everything she was telling me was that it was a mechanics lien, and it was more than likely fraudulent, because in Indianapolis for the last 5 years, they've had a rash of sovereign citizens putting liens on everything, on houses, cars, on the property of judges and police officers. And the judges and police officers, they just laugh this stuff off. It's illegitimate. And the average person that gets these liens placed on them, all they have to do is show up in court. It takes about a week or two to get it out of the way, but 9 times out of 10, I would even go as far as saying 10 times out of 10, when they're coming from sovereign citizens, these liens are removed. If Tyra says he has a lien on this house and has had it for, 6, 7 years now, why haven't you acted on it? The house has been bought and sold several times. If you have a legitimate lien, you should go and you should claim your money. But you won't, because you know it's fraudulent. Anyway, moving on. The big thought that was all jumbled up in my head that I finally decided to put in video form was brought out again today by watching Kong King's show. It doesn't have much to do with the topic. It's another Tyra question, but still, it begs the question, with everything that's going on right now in Washington specifically and all over the United States. Tyra said at the end of 2020 that he was done with the beef, that he was moving on and he was only doing positive things or moving in a more positive direction, not inserting himself in the beef. That's what he said at the end of 2020. So here we are in the second week of 2021. Several things have happened across the country. The Capitol had a protest that turned into something a little more, got violent. People were killed. They're calling it insurrection, whatever. That's a whole separate topic. In addition to that, what else we got here? DC riots. Rioters are being identified and arrested. Twitter permanently suspends Trump. So censorship. There is an assault on free speech. What else we got? Capitol police officer dead by suicide after responding to the Capitol riot. What is this? 2 Seattle officers were placed on administrative leave after the Seattle Police Department found out that they were believed to have attended the protests in Washington. In addition to those 2, there were 15 other police officers that are being investigated in relation to the what they're calling the riot. There is a governor, there is a governor's son, there are several other politicians. There were currently enlisted military men that were also in that crowd. A lot of people who had zip ties and flex cuffs, tactical vests. Some people were even wearing their uniform that were also in this crowd and were part of this group. I'm getting to a point. It'll all be clear in a second. Let's see. 83 people arrested. It's probably more than that now. 83 people arrested, 4 dead, 50 police officers injured. Plus, in Indiana and Indianapolis, the new strain of the coronavirus has hit that city. There are nearly 4,000 more cases and 30 additional deaths. Now, that's gone up in the last couple of days. Now, the point to all of this, why I'm bringing all this up, is that a couple of things Tyra said. One, he said that most people come on YouTube for either views or for money, but he is on the platform because it's in his heart to do so. Now, in the case of views or gaining attention, I see no problem with this. We're on this earth for a very short time, and if a person wants to be heard, they need attention. If you have a thought that's worth a damn and you want to share it with people, you're going to need attention. It serves no purpose sitting in your head. Getting attention to me is not a bad thing. It's not a reason to be demonized. Some people call it clout chasing. There are ways to get attention. Some of them morally are frowned upon. But in the end, if your message gets out, is it really a bad thing? That becomes a question of the ends justifying the means, and I'm not here to have a discussion on that. But attention, nothing wrong with it. People being on social media for money, nothing wrong with that, if you ask me. If your purpose is to be online to get money, I have no issue with that. Most of our lives in society is in the pursuit of money. Money brings stuff that you need to live: food, shelter, transportation, vacations. Money makes life easier. It's a fact of life. You can call it an evil thing. You can say it's the root of all evil. You can say people do bad things for money. You can put a lot of society's ills on money being the cause of it. But at the end of the day, you can't do anything without money. A person who seeks neither money nor attention basically is a bum. You live under a bridge, you don't have any money, you don't want anyone bothering you, you're a social recluse and a bum. Some people may like that. Some people may aspire to be that. I know at one point in my life, I had considered the idea of moving into the woods and getting a cabin and living simply off the grid, essentially being a bum. There are various levels of being a bum. There's bums who don't bathe, and then there are bums who have like cattle and chickens and water wells and, homes that they built with their own hands. There are levels to the bum game. I could be a high-end bum. Anyway. Yeah, so he was saying that he does all of this out of his heart. Now, if that's the case and he does all of this out of his heart, why do you have a Cash App button, and why do you refuse to speak unless you have X amount of people and you're constantly telling people to hit your Cash App? It's not out of his heart. But I'm not telling anybody something they don't already know. So again, end of 2020, he says it's an end to the beef. He's going a positive route. He's not inserting himself into this stuff anymore. All these topics that I just pointed out, very easy. You don't even have to do a Google search. You turn on your computer and you can see any one of those things that I just showed you. So if you're a content creator seeking content that is not beef, and you're strapped for ideas, you're racking your brain, you can't figure out anything to talk about, just turn on your computer. All of these things will be thrown in your face. So why does the first show that Tyra does for the year, why was it beef? He went in on, and I'm going to say names, I don't care. He went in on Lady Law. He went in on Tommy Sotomayor. He went in on Vic. He went in on Kong King. He went in on Buddy Lee briefly. He stirred up beef with all of this stuff happening right around him. Now, this is the guy who claims to be a gun advocate, a lawyer, a conspiracy theorist. He goes after judges and the government and he's trying to prove conspiracies and stuff like that. Everything that's happened over the last week or so is all wrapped up in that. It's law, it's gun rights, it's conspiracy, it's constitutionalism, all of that. Everything that he claims he stands for has been brought to the forefront in social media, television, the news, everything. It's in your face. You can't avoid it. This is everything he says he came to YouTube for and was going back to, but he has not said a single word about it. He has been putting up videos about his dog, his new puppy, and beef. And speaking of that new puppy, that puppy has been crying a lot, getting stepped on and yelled at and mistreated a whole lot over the last week. So Tyra, you can expect a little bit more attention coming your way regarding that dog. I feel personally that that dog, it's doomed. It's doomed one way or another. If it lives, if it survives the next 6 months under Tyra's care, it's in for a life outside, caged up in a pen with a concrete floor, exposed to the elements, minimal food, minimal water, only getting attention when it's time for the dog to be taken out and bred, basically. It's very sad. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if it survives the next 6 months, that's the future of this dog. Outside, in the cold, locked up in a cage with a concrete floor, barely any food and water, no attention, and only used for breeding. It's sad, but it is what it is. And the good thing is he broadcasts his whole life. So if that dog is mistreated, there will be people there to make sure that that dog is taken to someplace better. Someplace that dog can be happier. But we're not there yet. We are not there yet. Anyway, I think that's about it for now. Just rambling. Thoughts out loud. I just find it strange. Oh, as they say, I find it odd that Tyra, the man who claims to be all about government and exposing and getting at the corrupt judicial system, hasn't said a word about topics that are affecting everyone's lives today. And he has chosen instead to insert himself back into beef and things that are not necessarily positive. That's pretty much it for now. Oh, and when you post a comment in the comment section, a certain person, I'm gonna reply to you concerning something that you posted earlier today that kind of disappeared. You know who I'm talking to, and you'll see when I post the comment in response to yours. But that's pretty much it for now. I'm walking around at work, wasting time, waiting to get the hell out of here. That's pretty much it for now. Another ramble from the very unorganized mind of the Rizzo. Talk to you guys later.